Hey guys, what's going on? Wanted to give a quick update on the car. I've had the Ghibli here. It's a 2015 for about 5 months, a little over 5 months. As you can see on the odometer there, about 4,100 miles. Just wanted to give you my thoughts on the car. Before this, I had a 2007 Maserati Ghibli Sport GT, which was great. I loved it. Really fun car, but maintenance costs started getting a little outrageous for it as it was getting up in age. So I figured I'd try this out. After spending some time looking at them, I thought I'd make the leap. So far, I've been very satisfied with the car. As far as the spec I got, it's a SQ4 model. I did opt for the premium package, and I wound up getting the premium sound system. There were some issues when I first got that. It was an update that came out that was basically, I think, optional, that brought the audio levels up to 10 decibels. So you have to get an update from the dealer. If you go to most of the dealerships, you listen to any stock car, the radio sounds absolutely horrible. It took me a bit of time on the internet and visiting 2 different dealers before I could get the update fixed. But it's a night and day difference. From an audio perspective, premium sound system is definitely worth it as long as you are able to get that update. 2016, I think they've changed the audio system to Harman Kardon, so hopefully that resolves that issue moving forward, but it was definitely a challenge for the first month or so of ownership. I did get the Abano wood. I know it's a little dark here, you can't really see it too well, but gives it a nice look. And I got the brown seats, nice contrast. My other car was black on black, which looked really nice, but it was extremely hot in the summer. As far as infotainment system, one of the big things I really like about this car is the Maserati touch control, also Chrysler Uconnect, pretty much the same thing. A lot of people give the car grief for using that system, but it's really very intuitive, extremely easy to use. And also what I like is they've done a good job of keeping the dash very clean, right? So from a button perspective, really minimal. If you look at the shifter here, got sport and manual. I usually default those 2 when I start the car. Wish they could come on automatically, but you have to hit them every time. And you have your separate HVAC controls, or like that. Makes it nice and easy to control while you're looking or while you're driving without having to look at the actual buttons. And then the MTC itself, a large, nice touchscreen, very responsive, and I think really intuitive, right? So right now I've got it set up on player. I'm using an SD card. I've got like 16 gigs of music. You can browse through and view your collection really easily, and you can see, once again, very responsive. Also, I think they did a good job laying out the different sub menus. Controls here, your rear sunshades, heated seats, they come on automatically when you start the car if it's under 40 degrees. So little things like that make the car really nice. Climate control system works very well. The car gets nice and hot really quickly, and it cools down well in the summertime. But once again, very easy to use. Not much of a learning curve with this system in particular. Nav setup. I know a lot of people also aren't a big fan of this because it's basically a Garmin UI, but very easy to use, user-friendly. The traffic information works really well. It rerouted me a few different times, saving me some good time from my trips. And as far as Bluetooth connectivity, works really good. I've got a few of my phones set up into there. Audio quality has been good on the receiving side as well as on the other side, from what I've been told. And there also is TravelLink, which I've used a few times. Really, I think the coolest feature here is fuel prices. So you press that, it's going to ping this server or whatever and pull fuel prices for gas stations that are local to you. Kind of cool, especially if you're traveling, you're going maybe somewhere you're not familiar with. You can find a local gas station, and you have to like to stick with the name brand stuff, and it'll tell me where those are from a location perspective and cost. As far as the center dash here, once again, I think a really nice layout, similar to I think what Maserati's done historically. 2 large, easy to read gauges with a blue background. The center console, or the center display, I usually leave it on vehicle info here. As you can see, it shows the torque distribution of the all-wheel drive system, oil pressure, oil temperature, trans temp, TPMS setup. You go up, you got your odometer there. One thing I think is pretty funny, so I usually do drive the car in sport mode pretty much 99.9% of the time. I feel like if it's not in sport mode and not in manual mode, the car is not as responsive. Especially I like to use manual mode. I feel like the car will shift, even if it's in sport mode. It's in a gear higher than I would like it to be. So if I'd prefer to be in fourth, the car's in fifth, to keep the RPMs down, I think, for fuel economy purposes. But as you can see, my fuel economy here, let me go to trip B. I reset it basically when I got the car, 14.5 miles per gallon. So pretty brutal. But like I said, I do drive it in sport mode. Not very aggressive, but aggressive enough, I guess. You got your audio display, so you can show your streaming information. One thing that's not the greatest about that, it doesn't show you, if you're listening to Bluetooth, for instance, it won't show you the track information. And when you're on SD card, it shows you a track name. In this case, SD card track number 1358. So once again, not very useful. Not showing you the name of the title of the track or anything like that. Yeah, this other stuff I'll skip over here. But as far as, specs go, if I was to do things over again, I think I would opt for either the sport suspension or the Skyhook. The previous car I had, as I mentioned, was a Quattroporte Sport GT. The Skyhook suspension, I felt like when it was off, the car was a little too springy. So I drove with that thing in sport mode or with the Skyhook on all the time. This car, I feel like it needs a bit more as far as the rate of the dampers and springs. I think they're a little too soft when you're getting into turns. I think it's a little softer than I would have liked, so that would be one change I would make. And also I opted not to, I was on the fence about getting the luxury package or extended leather. From a cost perspective at the time, I saved a few bucks and just opted not to do it. Obviously, I think that's the one big difference between the last gen cars and the new gen cars. If you look at the base model SQ4 like I have without the premium package, you have the vinyl top on the dashboard. Doesn't look too bad. I think I've gotten used to it, but definitely if you see a car that has the extended leather or the luxury package, there's definitely a big difference. I think that'd be one area I would change if I was to do this car again. I probably would go to the luxury pack, so you get the full leather on the sides as well, as opposed to just on the door grabs. Other than that, I think the spec on the car is good. I had the paddle shifters added. This car didn't have them. The dealer put those on as part of the transaction. A major, I think, must-have for this car. Like I said, I always drive in manual mode, and I really like having the paddles up here. Also, the size, really nice and big, easy to grab, very responsive. And that ZF transmission, when you do have it in sport mode and in manual, it's very quick and aggressive. And it also gives you a nice backfire kind of sound on the downshift or the upshift. So pretty nice setup there. The lights also are one thing that I really like in the car. Probably people don't really think about this too much, but the headlights system, I really like it. It's got auto high beams. It also follows the road as you're turning. Works very well, gives great illumination, a nice improvement from the previous vehicle. So I think the big difference from my last gen car, the last gen QP, to the Ghibli is really just livability. I really like the design, the center console. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see anything in there, a bunch of junk, but really nice and deep, nice laid out, large glove box. Rear folding seats, which is a huge benefit. This is my daily driver. And every once in a while I've had to throw a snowboard in it before. Had to pick up some stuff from Home Depot. It's nice to be able to throw those seats down and just toss some stuff in the back. The one downside to the Ghibli over the last gen QP, I feel like, is the rear seat room. There's definitely, the old car I felt like had about 4 or 5 inches more room in the back. So I do have a couple young ones at home, got some car seats in the back there. At times it's a little tight for the guys as they're sitting in the back seat. Other than that, though, I'm really loving the car. It's been fantastic. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them. I'll try to respond. But all right, guys, take it easy.